This is a brand new 2022. Why are they the #1 selling SUV in the United States? Now, RAV4 originally stood for Recreation Activity Vehicle 4-Wheel Drive. Now, this one is all-wheel drive, and I believe they are all-wheel drive now. And they are either hybrids like this or plug-in hybrids. If you look at the price differential between the non-hybrids and the hybrids, most people actually opt out for a hybrid, but not a plug-in hybrid, because this thing as it stands, he's getting close to 40 miles a gallon when he drove over here. You can't argue that with an SUV that's all-wheel drive. Now, he's never even looked at the engine, but we're gonna look at it. The part over here has the orange high power wires, and here's the regular engine. Now, as you can see, it uses a new refrigerant. Everybody does now, R1234 YF, which costs a fortune. I didn't have to add any refrigerant to this Matrix until the thing was like 15 years old. So, and even then it was still working, it just wasn't cold enough. So, it's not like you gotta fill it up all the time. It's got a very dependable 4-cylinder Atkinson cycle engine, and when you add the hybrid, it's got plenty enough horsepower to zoom it around, and he's still got almost 40 miles a gallon driving it over here. You might wonder, how does that happen? Well, yes, it's not my favorite thing. It does have a CVT transmission. In the very beginning, they had some teething problems, but that was a long time ago. These, I haven't seen any real problems in them. They got good enough zip, and they can get phenomenal gas mileage. And this is real-world gas mileage. This isn't nonsense that they make up, but I gotta say it wasn't too far off. He got 39.5 or so, and it says it's rated at 40. So that's pretty close, you know, considering that it's all-wheel drive. It's a relatively medium-sized SUV. It's got decent clearance, about the same as my Matrix. You look at the cars that get insane hybrid gas mileage, like a Toyota Prius. Those things are like about this far off the ground. You hit a speed bump, it scrapes the bottom off. Now this guy plans on turning this into a nice camper, so he can camp all over the country. He wants it to be the last vehicle he buys. He just bought it, so he hasn't done it yet, but if you remember a video I made with my old cameraman Nathan's daughter, they had a Ford Escape that they turned into a little camper. Only this has got two more things going for it. It's a Toyota, and it's not gonna break down like their Ford did, and it's a RAV4. It's got quite a bit more space than an Escape had. And while I'm sitting in here, you can see why people like them. You can fit a lot of people when the seats are up, but when they're down, there's a lot of cargo space. They're carrying an awful lot of stuff. They got rid of that cool little spare tire on the outside because they've modernized them. You know, that's just too old school, especially for a hybrid. Now, the only downside of not having a tire out here is the spare in here is just one of those little bitty donut tires. You can't drive all that far in it, so, you know, you're always gonna have a compromise here or there. It looks cooler, but you don't have a real spare. You just have a plain old donut spare. It's gonna take you all that far, but really, you take care of a car, modern tires last an awful long time. Now we'll look inside, and he's making this into a camper. Makes a lot more sense to have cloth seats. It's nicely appointed. I'll turn the key on. You can see it's got a decent screen on it. Regular controls for audio, phone, cruise control, you name it. It's got adaptive cruise control. Nice black and chrome. And it's a fancy model, so it's got a sunroof on it. If you're out camping, you want to leave the top open. And as you can see, they take the activity part of the recreational activity vehicle seriously. The mats are nice, thick rubber mats. You can easily clean, not some kind of plush thing that's going to get dirty and ruined. And not only does it have heated seats in the winter, it's got a heated steering wheel too. Now, this isn't a plug-in hybrid. It does have an EV mode, but most people aren't going to really use it because you can't get that far. I had one once. I think it went 2.5 miles or something. It's got all the various modes. You got normal mode, eco mode, sport mode. Being a hybrid, you can watch it charge, see how it runs. That's how it gets such good gas mileage, with the hybrid combined with the gasoline motor. If you're a hard driver, you can also turn off the traction control. You can heat the seats, both front seats. Now, if you're thinking about buying one, you got to decide, what do you want to get? A regular one, a hybrid one, or a plug-in hybrid? Now, hybrids have a level of complexity that's totally insane. Well, he bought this new with 0 miles on it. He's retired. He'll probably be totally happy with this. If you're a cheapskate like me, and you buy a used one, and you want to drive it 300, 400, 500,000 miles, then a hybrid is not for you, because they only go so many miles. Now, I've had some customers that were lucky. They'll pick up a used hybrid with, say, 200,000 miles. They'll pay a couple grand or something for it. Then they'll drive it another 100,000, and they got lucky and didn't have to put a bunch of money into it. But eventually the battery goes bad, the generator goes bad, and you're talking anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000. Nobody's going to put that in an old car, then you get rid of the car. Where if it was a non-hybrid car, you wouldn't be involved in any of that stuff at all. That you got to decide yourself. How many miles do you drive? Is it stop and go city or highway? Because you do a lot of highway driving, you probably just want a regular one. A regular RAV4 is good enough gas mileage, but if you drive in the city, you're much better off with a hybrid one. Last time I went to Seattle on business, almost all the cab drivers were driving Toyota Prius hybrids because they got such phenomenal gas mileage driving in the city of Seattle, going back and forth, and that it was a business decision that paid out wisely for them. Sounds like a Toyota. Notice we don't hear anything because it's a hybrid. It's going on the electric motor now. You see that little noise that it has to make. So people know there's an electric car around. It has to make that noise. So you can hear it outside. So if you hear that noise, realize there's an electric car near you. Now, of course, in electric mode, it's quiet as can be. Step on the gas. All right. Now it's got the gasoline motor going. And it's a typical RAV4. It's high up in the air. And being a 2022, it handles a lot better than the older ones did. They've upgraded the suspension system in these things since the beginning 100-fold. It's regenerating electricity. You hit the brakes a little, regeneration continues. We're gliding. Now it's just the engine because we're flooring it. But then we take our foot off the gas, it's regenerating power to the battery to run the electric motor. And of course the brakes work perfectly fine because you have regular brakes and regenerative braking. There's no problem stopping in this thing. So let's take the little drag strip here. It's fun to drive in a twisties. It's still not way up in the air so that it feels too boxy like it's going to tip over. And it handles quite well for an SUV. And we'll come to our little stop here. And we'll let the guy ahead of us get a little bit further up. And let's see how it takes off. Here we go. Not bad. Not outrageously fast, but it goes good. Realize, yes, it is a CVT transmission. And they're known more for efficiency than straight power. But if you want, you can put manual mode. You go down, get a little more zip, shift it by hand if you want. Makes the engine spin a little faster. It's not actual gears because it's a CVT. It doesn't have gears in it. It's what Toyota's engineers have come up to make it feel like it's a shifting transmission. And they're ultra quiet when you're sitting at a stop sign. Now, as I said, this is not a plug-in. If you get a plug-in, they claim they can go up to 50 miles on electricity alone. Anybody out there got a Toyota RAV4 plug-in? Please bring it to me, either in Tennessee or Rhode Island when I'm there. And the one big advantage of the Toyota all-wheel drive system is you don't even know it's there. It's so seamless. You have no idea what you're driving until you get stuck in mud or snow and ice, and you're gonna notice one thing. It handles a heck of a lot better, and it won't get wheel spin that a two-wheel drive vehicle would get if you're in kind of an emergency situation. Now, things with this coronavirus still going around and still affecting car prices. This guy, though, was sharp. He did pay MSRP, but he didn't pay over. And you can see the list of this thing was $32,230, and he got some add-ons, so he got it for a little over $35. And he was going to have to wait months, but somebody in Nashville decided they didn't want the one they ordered, so it only took him a few weeks before he got this delivered and started driving around. I have it in EV mode, so here we go, driving down the road in EV mode. But you'll notice, as soon as we hit 20, the engine kicked back in. This is not made for EV mode. They didn't jack the price up at the Toyota dealer. It happened to be Beaman Toyota in Nashville. There are still people out there like me that realize it's a big world. Don't rip everybody off to get whatever you can, because when bad times come, guess what? They're going to remember the man who ripped them off, and they're going to stay away, and your business is going to go. You didn't pay an outrageous jacked up price like people are for Broncos and Mavericks and Ford Lightnings. Greed has a tendency of biting you in the rear end if you stay around long enough. So there's still some people out there that aren't out ripping everybody off. But in terms of an overall vehicle, this 2022 RAV4 is certainly not a ripoff. You're getting your money's worth. These things can last a really long time. SUV that gets 40 miles a gallon, real 40 miles a gallon, not made up. A guy actually driving the thing is getting it. So you know it's not baloney. And it's a Toyota. You saw it had plenty of acceleration. It's not really made EV mode. I showed, you know, over 20, it turns the motor back on. It's not that. If you want that, you get the plug-in, you pay more, and then they claim you can go 50 miles. I can understand why. This is the biggest selling SUV in the United States. There's a reason people are buying these things, because they're making stuff that people not only like, but they like them over time. Here's the new 2022 Honda CR-V. Now, yeah, the RAV4 is number one, but this is number two. The last 8 years, they've sold over 300,000 of these every year in the United States. They're popular vehicles. I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to give you a bunch of choices so you can decide whether to buy one or not, and if you do buy one, which one should you buy? Now, these things were originally made in the 90s. They're kind of ugly then. They're sharp-looking cars now. But you have an awful lot of choices, and they've done a lot of stuff over. Now, he drove it over here. He got better than the rated gas mileage. He got 40 miles a gallon, and considering it's a relatively up-in-the-air SUV, we'll look under the hood. We see a 4-cylinder engine. This is the conventional engine. As you can see here, it is a 1.5 liter, and it's turbocharged. Hybrid comes with a 2-liter. I know, I'm not the biggest fan of a small engine with a turbo, but on the other hand, it's a Honda. They've been making engines for a long time. They're really the #1 manufacturer of internal combustion engines in the world. They've been working on turbos for quite some time. As long as you use that GF6 oil that's made for this engine, these have not had any oil dilution problems that the earlier ones had. It tells you here, 0W20. Just use the GF6 oil, that's 0W20. Doesn't matter which brand, as long as you buy a quality brand, that is a standard GF6. I've got customers with them, they aren't having any problems with it. Now, a lot of people will say, well, should I get this or should I get the hybrid? Well, the hybrid version of this on the highway only gets 1 mile a gallon better than this. You can pay a lot of extra money, and you're going to have a lot of extra technology that's going to break if you keep your cars 200, 300, 400,000 miles. But on the other hand, if you drive a lot in the city, stop and go, the hybrid regenerates electricity. It's more efficient. You'll get anywhere from 15 to 18 miles a gallon better with the hybrid. So let's say you're an Uber driver in town or something, you're much better off buying a hybrid. But if you're a normal driver, you're probably better off getting a non-hybrid, less technology, still gets phenomenal gas mileage for an SUV. Honda wheels, but it's an upgrade. He didn't like the original flowery design. I kind of agree with him. I think the white and the black really pop off of each other. This is front-wheel drive. It's not all-wheel drive. Most people don't need all-wheel drive. You really don't need in Tennessee. It doesn't snow much here at all. Maybe a little, but front wheel with snow tires will work perfectly fine. My mother drove around in Buffalo with the Toyota Corolla with no snow tires on it in the winter, and they never got stuck. There are plows out there that do plow things, you know? You don't need all-wheel drive. If you want it, you can get it. It's your money. You're going to get worse gas mileage. You're going to pay more for the car. Maintenance is going to be a little more heavy. So if you don't want that, don't waste your money. Look inside. He got cloth seats. You know why? He told me he doesn't want to burn his butt while he's wearing shorts. And that is a smart move. Plus, I've seen these with 500,000 miles on them. Seats still looked okay. Who cares? They don't look bad at all, especially these black ones. They look nice. There's a lot of space. That's what these things are about. They really are utility vehicles. You got the usual nice space here. You can hide crap so people can't see it. Then you just move the seats forward and you carry all kinds of crap around. I got a customer down the street has one. He puts a kayak in it. Sure, it sticks out a little, but the bungee cords hold it in. You can carry a lot of stuff with these. They have not shirked and shrunk them inside so they don't have the space. They still have a lot of space inside. And as we sit down and shut the door, come on, it's a Honda, you know it's going to start up. And they've made their screens much better than they used to be. You can see it's got a pretty large backup camera, gives you a good view. The usual controls on the steering column so you don't crash. And it's got something I really like. You got the tachometer you can see at the top, and you got the speedometer right there. You're looking at it like in a conventional car. You're not like in a Tesla, looking over to a giant screen that takes your eye off the road. You're right here. It's got a sunroof. If you live in a cold climate, in the summer, that's fun. This has got nice faux wood. It's not wood, but it looks like wood. It's nicely appointed. And of course, the more gas mileage you want to get, you can push it there. Then you see, you're in economy mode. Economy off, economy on. I'm not really a fan, but it also has a brake hold on it. USB ports that people want these days. It's adjustable. You can put it where you want. You can easily get the stuff. It's a Honda, so it's got killer AC. Let's take it for a spin. It's got a decent built-in GPS. And yes, as you're driving, what do you notice? It's nice and high up in the air, yet it doesn't feel too boxy like it's gonna flip over. Now you might wonder, how does it get such great gas mileage? Well, it's only a 1.5 liter engine, and turbos do ram more air in the engine, but a lot of it has to do with the transmission, because it's not a conventional transmission. It is a CVT transmission, but it is designed and built by Honda, and they do a pretty good job with them. The handling is fine for a little SUV. The brakes are perfect. ABS system works fine. Got a few rattling bottles in here. Drinking water on the trip because it's hot today, but other than that, it's a very quiet vehicle. Now, he told me that he's never ever floored it, but he gave me permission, so since he's a major, yes sir, I'll floor it. We're going around the bend and it handles quite well. So here we go. We've stopped and now we're gonna floor it. And you can tell it's a CVT. Now it's picking up. And it's got decent acceleration. There's no arguing that, because it's got a turbocharger in it. Now you notice it's not shifting up and down because it's a CVT. It doesn't really shift at all. But as you can see, even though I'm driving like a maniac, it's making this average gas mileage go down. It was at 40 and now it's gone down to 39.8. Now he drives in an eco mode, so push the eco mode button. Now it's in eco mode. Now we'll see what happens. It really didn't take that much acceleration away. With that extra lift, being an SUV somewhat higher up in the air, hey, you feel secure in this thing. You don't have to worry that you're gonna get stuck in some little rut, or that, you know, it snows too much and the snow's too deep. Realize that the super high gas mileage ones, you live in a snowy area, you gotta think about that. As my son just bought one of those new Toyota Sienna hybrid vans, right? And it gets phenomenal gas mileage, but it's really low to the ground. And if it did snow a lot, he wouldn't be able to drive because it would turn into a little snow plow. The front of the car would be plowing snow the whole time. If you live in areas like that, you really want something like this that's a little bit higher. The dash is perfectly designed because it fits in the hole of the steering wheel. You see everything. Nothing is hidden. There's no hidden parts. Everything is open and obvious to read. To make steering wheels some weird shape like Tesla's, you can still make nice little round ones as long as the dash is designed with the steering wheel in mind, so you don't lose any type of visibility. It doesn't particularly oversteer or understeer when you're taking corners. It's a pretty well thought out vehicle. You gotta realize, they've been making them for 6 generations, so as with many Japanese companies, hey, they just perfect them over time. Now, if you wondered how Honda sold over 300,000 of these for each of the last 8-9 years, realize a couple of things. One, they're all made in the United States. And two, realize it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. For many people, the Honda Pilot is too big, but the Honda HR-V is too small. Well, for them, the CR-V is just right. I agree too. Like I said, I'm always a little fishy about little engines that are turbos. On the other hand, this isn't a Fiat or GM product. This is a Honda product. Their engines generally last forever if you take care of them. So I really wouldn't worry about that. And if you don't like the excess technology of a hybrid, don't buy a hybrid CR-V. You only get 1 mile a gallon better gas mileage on the highway. A lot better in the city, but only 1 on the highway. And if you don't want something as big as a Pilot or as little as an HR-V, hey, this is a very good choice. I mean, look, it is a beautiful truck. It's got the Toyota Indestructible V8. It's a 4x4. It's not smashed up. How did he get it so cheap? Well, he got it at an auction. It was a salvage title because they said water got this high. Now he got information. Turns out it was a tidal event on the East Coast. So the water got up that high, but the vehicle was never started. So all the computers weren't energized. And let's face the facts. This is a very tall Tundra. As the owner just told me, he would have never bought a Mercedes if it had been flooded out with all the electronics and things that can go wrong, even if they aren't flooded. But it's a Toyota, and they are pretty well sealed. Now, he's owned it for 2 whole years, and he hasn't had to do anything to it yet, really. And it costs $13,000 for a beautiful truck like this that had less than 100,000 miles. That is a steal in this coronavirus period. That's an absolute steal. I do always have to warn people. Okay, the water got this high. That means there was water everywhere. There's electronics everywhere. It certainly didn't soak for long. Look at the seats. They're still in immaculate shape. Extended cab. The back. It's clean. And guess what? This is 2 years later. It doesn't stink of mold or anything. The engine's got the normal corrosion on aluminum. You see that. The brake system isn't particularly corroded. The firewall's clean. And when we start it up, listen to that engine. It runs like a clock. It's not missing. It's not acting funny. What a deal he got. Now, on the one hand, he did get a little lucky. He should have gone to Vegas right after and gambled on. Could have made $1 million there. It is a Toyota. Just realize any car that's been flooded that deep, all kinds of bad things can happen. I've had many customers buy other cars, not Toyotas, that were flooded, and they were just disaster areas. The computer system went gaga. Everything went nuts up. Realize Toyota seals their systems pretty well, especially in these big trucks. They expect people to go through water and stuff. So a lot of the stuff is somewhat waterproof compared to other cars. But you never know electronically. So we'll hook up the computer and we'll see what the truth is. Simple hook up on a Toyota, it's right there. This is a Tundra with a V8. So here we go. Automatic scan, we'll go through everything. Look how fast it is because it's a late model vehicle. As you can see right here, it's going through 23 subsystems. We're waiting, we'll see. You know, these things aren't gas misers. This thing's averaging 16.9 miles a gallon. That's what these things do. And it's now got 100,202 miles on it. The engine, transmission, that's all perfectly fine. But the four-wheel drive system says it's got a failure. Let's see what's wrong with it. Lost communication with the computer, and the data received from the control module are not valid. So what we're going to do, we don't know what happened since this was flooded. We're going to clear all these trouble codes and see what happens after a drive. Realize, as I've said many times, a fancy scan tool like mine, this thing can do a lot. You get a regular scan tool, hook it up, erase codes. You want to erase those codes. Those are in-depth codes. You need a fancier machine to do that. Somebody may have just never erased them. And the other code is for airbag. Let's see what that says. It says malfunction of occupant classification system, opening the side squib of the left-hand circuit. That's the driver's circuit. Often the airbag systems will go wonkers if they flood out. Again, we don't know if somebody fixed it and didn't clear it. We don't know. So we'll clear the trouble codes and we'll see what happens. Now we're going to look at live data. We'll start it up. Watch the live data, and we're off. This is relatively new Toyota, so check it out, baby. 330 points of data to look at. Short-term fuel on number 1. It's adding fuel. Long-term fuel on 1, it's adding a little more fuel, 7.8, and the short-term fuel term on bank 2 is 1.5, 2.3. It's a little bit off, but the long-term fuel, it's actually adding a reasonable amount of fuel, 7.8%. The long-term fuel trim on bank 2 is 5.4, well, 7.8. So, bank 1 is running leaner than bank 2. Doesn't particularly shake, runs okay, but it's running lean. It's adding fuel from being flooded. Who knows what that's done to any computer systems, but it does have 100,000 miles. I'd advise putting fuel injection cleaner in the tank, the ATS stuff my friend Bernie in Albuquerque sells. See what happens. Could easily help it out. Better to have it running lean like that, because it's bad enough it's getting 16.8 miles per gallon. There's more air, less fuel. You make it run better, less lean, you probably get even worse gas mileage. He's not complaining about the acceleration. He had no problem driving it there. He loves the vehicle. So that's probably something you'd live with. Let's shut the hood and take it for a spin. It's got a backup camera so I won't hit the neighbor's mailbox. And yeah, it's a Tundra. It's a big truck. 4-wheel drive. High up in the air. Shifts like a dream. But hey, it handles pretty good for a big truck. We'll get on our little country road here. See how this thing goes on a little drag strip. Coming around the bend. Handles fine in the twisties. It doesn't ride like the old ones. We'll come to a stop. Nobody's behind us. And we'll floor it. And, hey, it gets up and goes. Shifts good, listen to that engine. Considering that this thing was flooded by saltwater tide, about up to my stomach, I'm sort of amazed that it doesn't have anything wrong with it. Now, he bought this thing 2 years ago, so there's plenty of time if it had warped the circuit boards in a computer for it to make it act up. But it hasn't on him. He did get somewhat lucky with this. But then again, it's a Toyota. Listen to that engine. It's a 4-wheel drive, top of the line. Leather seats, I mean, what a deal for 13 grand. He did take a chance, but in his case, his chance paid off. You come to a stop. And what does it do? It just sits there. It doesn't shake. It doesn't go bananas. Yeah, it's running slightly lean. You're probably better off just leaving this thing alone. Because, like I say, if you do fix it and make it not run lean anymore, it'll probably get worse gas mileage. and it's only getting 16 now. Well, the man didn't listen to my advice and bought a salvage truck. But on the other hand, do you feel lucky, punk? Well, he was definitely lucky. For 13 grand, he got this beautiful truck. Now, on the other hand, really high up in the air, and it was made in Texas and San Antonio. So in his case, he got a little bit lucky, but got a beautiful truck for 13 grand. I see these things going for $35,000. But really, stick to big, tall Toyotas in that case. At least you got a lot better chance of getting one that isn't going to fall apart. He's owned this thing for 2 years now, and it's still going strong. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.